Hey y'all, Mandy from My Hectic Life Pets, where we talk about all things pet and pet related. And today I wanted to talk to you about making the decision as to whether or not to bring a new pet home. So a lot of people will go out and get things like a free kitten on the road, and that free kitten is sometimes a lot more expensive and a lot more work than they think it's going to be. And that's true with all pets. You never know. You might bring even a fish home and it might end up having ick, and now you have to treat the ick, and that can not be horrible pricey, but you know, it's still going to be an expense that you weren't expecting. And you might bring home that free kitten that you got from a box from the side of the road, and that free kitten is going to cost anywhere from $300 to $1,000 that first year, getting its shots and booster shots and all the different vet care and getting it spayed or neutered. All these things can be really expensive, and you never know. The free kitten might have ringworm or roundworms and tapeworms and fleas and all kinds of things that are going to be costly. You really have to try to take cost into consideration. Can you afford, if you bring this animal home, can you afford if something happens, or can you afford all of its shots? Can you afford to get all the care that it really needs to be happy and healthy and thriving? And it's the same goes for even small animals. I mean, you could bring home a new frog and it could be sick and have to go to get vet care, and it could cost a couple $100 just for even a small frog to get medical care if something goes wrong. Most of these animals also live a pretty long time, so you also have to take the future into consideration. Where are you going to be in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? Think of the lifespan of the pet that you're thinking about bringing home. How long is this animal going to live, and where do you see yourself in that time frame? You know, cats can live 20, 25 years sometimes. The average is like 12 to 14, but they can live a lot longer than that. If you get a tortoise, that tortoise might outlive you. And you might have to make sure that you have plans in place for later on down the road. Will your kid be willing to take it? Will a family member be willing to take it? A friend, someone younger, be willing to take those animals? I had a lady call me that she had this dog since it was a puppy. It was 10 years old, but her kids moved out, and she didn't want to take care of the dog anymore now that her kids were gone. She wanted to be able to travel, and she wanted to get rid of the dog. The dog spent its whole life with this family. It knew nothing else, and she just wanted to get rid of it like it was an old pair of tennis shoes that she just didn't want in her closet anymore. And that's really not the attitude that you want to have with these animals. They form a bond. I've seen animals come in that are really depressed because their owner passed away. The kids couldn't take care of the animal, so they gave it up to the shelter. And you know, these are 10-year-old, 12-year-old, 15-year-old cats and dogs that they knew nothing but their owner. And they're depressed. They come in depressed and sad, and a lot of them have to be euthanized because they don't know how to go on. And it's sad enough when it's because the owner passed away, but to just want to dump your pet that you've had for 10 years is kind of disgusting. I can't even fathom, like, my cat that is almost 8 years old trying to just unload her like she's a burden. That's my family. As far as I'm concerned, like, my pets are my family. I've got my cat Tyrion here in my lap with me. He kept trying to knock over my tripod, so he's chilling in my lap. So you really want to think about things like cost, and you really want to think about long term, like, are you going to be moving out of your parents' house? Are they willing to take care of that animal after you move out? Are they willing to keep it? Or do you need to take that animal with you? If you need to take that animal with you, like, and you're not planning on purchasing a house, Tyrion, stop trying to knock the tripod over. And you're not planning on moving out and buying your own home, are you going to be able to take that animal with you? Most dorms are not going to allow you to bring your animals with you. Apartments, some that do allow animals, usually require either a pet deposit or a monthly pet rent. I've done both. I've paid pet rent where I had to pay $20 per animal per month. I've paid for this house $500 per pet. It's a lot of money to be able to have my animals with me, but it's a price that I'm willing to pay because they're my babies. They might not be my human child, because I have one of those too, but they're still my family. They still go everywhere I go, and I'm not going anywhere without them. There was a time where I was having a hard time trying to find a place that would allow me to have my 80-pound dog, and I almost was to the point where I was just not gonna move. And until I found a place that would allow me to have my dog, I would pay. And I paid. So these are things that you do have to take into consideration. Some places, they don't mind if you have small pets, and they won't even charge you a pet deposit or a fee for having things like frogs or fish. A lot of places, if you have a tank over 5 or 10 gallons, then they do want a pet deposit fee, because if you think about it, if you have a 75-gallon aquarium, that's a lot of water. And if it breaks or leaks, you could end up with a lot of damage, especially if you're on a second floor and have carpeting, then it can cause a lot of damage. So when you're thinking about bringing a pet home, like I look at a cat or a kitten that I'm like, oh man, I feel bad for this animal. I need to do something for it. But I look at every kitten, every puppy, and think that's $1,000 at least for the first year, at least. I have all my animals. I have all of my cats and my dog on vet plans that are around $400 a piece per year to make sure that they all get the proper care that they need. And that has actually been saving me a lot of money because of how expensive things like dental care are for cats and dogs. And blood work. My older cat is almost 8, so making sure that all of her organs are functioning properly is really important, and getting blood work run twice a year to check everything is extremely important. And keeping up with their dental care to make sure that that doesn't cause any kind of internal problems is also really important. So these are all things that you want to keep in mind when you're deciding on whether or not you want to bring a pet home. If you have other pets at home, how are they going to react when you bring another animal home? I know my pets are usually, they've gotten pretty used to me bringing home animals. But maybe you have a large dog and you're thinking about bringing a kitten home and your dog's never been around cats. That could be a really difficult situation, and you have to be prepared to do the training and do the work. That's another thing. Are you willing to do all the work? Just my everyday routine of feeding all my animals and spraying down my tanks and checking water and in my fish tanks and just cleaning out the cat boxes and everything. I spend about an hour a day just maintaining and feeding. That's not training. That's not working with my dog and training. That's not spending time, quality time with my animals. That's just the bare minimum, making sure that they're fed and have fresh water and clean bowls and clean beds and humid tanks. So they can be a lot of work. They can be a lot of work. Even just a fish can be sometimes a lot of work, depending on how you want to take care of your tank. So these are all things that you want to consider. How much time do you have? Do you have enough time for this animal? Do you have enough time for this animal? Do you have enough money to support this animal if something happens? Because even a little frog can be a $200 vet trip. And even a fish can be $20 in different things to help treat for ick. So there's always, no matter what animal it is, there can be unexpected expenses. When that animal gets older, I mean, I've spent thousands of dollars before when I was trying desperately to save my older pets and keep them alive and healthy as long as possible, even though they had all kinds of medical problems. And because when they get older, sometimes cats can develop diabetes and they can get chronic kidney failure and so many different problems, arthritis, and all these things cost a lot of money to take care of and prevent. My dog Buster, I have to buy him glucosamine supplements even though he's still young, just to try to hopefully stave off arthritis problems as long as possible, because large breed dogs tend to get hip problems and arthritis early on. And so the more preventative care that you give, which is expensive, the longer that they'll live and thrive and be happy and healthy. Okay, so that's all for today's video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel where I post new videos every week. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye!